They spray our skies,
interacts with the magnetic
toxic chemicals.
field of your body.
Space travel is space. Mars rover is a complete.
Hello, I'm Rich Lund, and welcome to episode 0 of Debunk the Funk. This is where I tell you what you're in for. In this series, we're going to be taking claims and putting them to the test. And at the same time, we're going to really delve into the scientific method and how it works. What standards evidence must meet in order to really be considered evidence, and really flesh out what arguments are out there, and if they have them, what their flaws are and why. With science as our tool, our most precious thing, this series is meant to help you develop your critical thinking skills. We need critical thinking skills in our society, perhaps in this day and age more than ever. We're living in a time when humans have more access to more information than they ever have before in human history. With the advent of the internet in our society, the information flows non-stop. It's a great thing, but the other edge to that sword is that the same thing can be said for misinformation. The charlatans, they're out there. But the days of the covered wagon snake oil salesman, those are gone. These days, the hucksters are out there in a link that gets tweeted out, or a recommended YouTube video off there to the side. The pseudoscience and the junk claims are just a click away. Now, I don't know how much of that Debunk the Funk can take on, but I know I'm willing to try. Some of the episodes that you're going to find here are going to take a claim, and they're going to test it out with some type of experiment that I devise. In other episodes, though, it might not be about debunking something so much as really looking at the finer points of what it takes to evaluate a claim with objective points of view. In either case, we'll attempt to show you the power of scientific thought and practice. It's no secret, I love science. I fell in love with it at a very young age. But back then, I only knew the first half of science. It was the awe and the wonder and the curiosity that I had as a kid that we all have when we're young. Without that wonder and curiosity, science wouldn't go anywhere. The other half I didn't discover until later, and when I did, I fell even deeper in love with it. The other half of science is its cutthroat adherence to evidence and peer review. You might have a beautiful idea about how something in the world works, but no matter how beautiful it is, if it doesn't match the evidence, or if it makes predictions that when tested out are shown to be false, disproven, well then science has left that idea dead. It's one of the most powerful things, though, about science. It's why it works. A common misconception that I run into quite often is that people expect science should be able to prove something to them. And I'll admit, we use the words proof and prove incorrectly often in the way we just commonly talk. But proving things is not really how science works. Science does not have the power to prove anything 100%. But what it does have the power to do is to disprove things. It can show something to be incorrect, false, wrong. It's just part of human nature that when we see something out there in the world that we don't fully understand, we want to understand it. And we'll often come up with ideas, sometimes just guesses, but other times some logic is put into them as to what's going on, why does it work that way. What science is able to do is take those ideas and test them out one by one. It's able to show us which ones cannot be true, no matter how nice sounding or comfortable they made us feel. When that process is done, whatever you've got left, whatever ideas science could not disprove no matter how hard it tried, those are some very precious things. It's things that might be true. If any of this sounds like your cup of tea, be it Earl Grey hot or otherwise, then subscribe to the channel and buckle in for the ride. But keep in mind, there may be an episode or two out there in the future that actually challenges something that you've always held to be true. In cases where that happens, I ask two things of you. First, try to approach the things that I'm going to show you with an open mind. It's very much allowed and encouraged in science to take in new information when it becomes available and take it under consideration, re-evaluate our previous ideas, and make edits when necessary. It's part of how science gets done. We are willing to revise. And in some cases, potentially, we might end up drawing a completely new conclusion, something very different than what we believed before. It's not only okay, but sometimes quite liberating to admit when we've been wrong and move forward from there with a fresh start. The second thing I ask of you, the viewer, by the end of that episode, whether I've convinced you or not, if If you decide to leave a comment on that video, it must not include any profanity or vulgar language. I welcome comments and discussion, even if it starkly disagrees with what I'm saying in the video. But if you and I disagree, or if you disagree with somebody else in the comments section, I expect the people that are coming there to leave the comments to act in a civil manner. Present your argument however you see fit, but if it contains vulgar language, or if it resorts to childish name-calling, or if you provide a link to some other video or some other blog that contains vulgarity or profanity, your comment will be deleted. This is my domain, and I will not tolerate such in my house. Thanks for your time in checking this out. I'm Rich Lund, and I'm here to remind you the world needs critical thinkers. Make sure that you're one of them. See ya.